would like to speak to you in regards to when there is premature revelation. So let's get into this. Now, sometimes your mouth moves before heaven moves. And even though what you said was true, the soil wasn't ready to receive it. Empaths, shamans, mystics, healers, you've all done it. You felt the divine push, the intuitive knowing, that inner surge that said now. But it wasn't God's now, it was your aches now. Because the truth in the wrong atmosphere sounds like rebellion. Prophecy in an unprepared place sounds like madness. Healing in a chaotic environment feels like a threat. And when the environment isn't yet tilled by divine timing, your revelation becomes a weapon that will be used against you. Even the most gifted can confuse urgency with guidance. The empath feels everything, the ache of others, the tension in the unseen, and wants to fix things now. But healing that moves too soon becomes disruption. It's like performing surgery on a wound that hasn't been sterilized. And so infection sets in. And when the shaman acts before grounding, they mistake trauma for instruction. When the truth teller speaks before listening, they mistake reaction for revelation. When the mystic unveils before discernment, they mistake intuition for divine clearance. Acting too soon is the ego's way of trying to speed up destiny. But destiny isn't rushed, it's ripened. The divine doesn't just prepare you, it prepares the room. When the atmosphere isn't spiritually calibrated, even the right word will sound wrong. That's why Jesus often said, "My hour has not yet come." He could reveal, but he wouldn't, because time itself must be in obedience. Now, many chosen ones fail not because they're wrong, but because they're early. Now, they can't plant spring seeds in winter soil and expect harvest. When God hasn't gone before you, the message meets resistance instead of resonance. Sometimes God delays your message not to silence you, but to protect you from a war that hasn't been assigned to your level yet. Not every ear is equipped to hold your frequency. Not every heart can interpret your transmission. And not every system has room for your truth. So when you speak revelation in a place still bound by deception, you become the enemy of its comfort. You see what they refuse to see, right? So they label you dangerous. You can sense what they suppress, so they exile you. It's not that they hate you, they just weren't prepared for what you carried, for what you had to say. And sometimes it's not them who weren't ready, it was you who weren't protected yet. Empaths and healers often expose truths out of love, but exposure without divine timing creates collapse, not correction. You wanted to free them, right? But freedom forced before readiness becomes absolute chaos. Even God doesn't tear veils before hearts are fortified. He reveals layer by layer, timing truth to capacity. Sometimes your silence is the most powerful form of obedience. It allows grace to soften the ground so truth can take root. God's timing has rhythm. It's not just what you say, but when heaven authorizes it. The true mystic learns, and the shaman learns, that silence is also ceremony. Waiting isn't weakness, it's alignment. Because when you move with God, creation moves with you. When you wait on heaven's yes, the same mouths that mock you will quote you later. If you ever been pushed for speaking truth before it's time, forgive yourself. You weren't wrong, you were just ahead of schedule. You were sent as a prototype in a world that hasn't yet been updated. So your rejection was a sign that you revealed a reality not yet born. So God will revisit every truth they couldn't handle, but this time through transformed ears. Your silence is not defeat, it's sacred incubation. And when the appointed time comes, what once crucified you will crown you. Power without patience wounds the messenger, because wisdom without waiting wounds the mission. So next time you feel the urge to speak, ask, has heaven prepared this environment or this individual for hearing what I have to say? Because revelation without readiness becomes rebellion, but revelation with divine preparation becomes revival. They have to be ready. And when you wait on divine timing, even silence speaks for you. And when the moment comes, your words won't just be heard, they'll be ordained. Because the truth in the wrong atmosphere sounds like rebellion. It shakes structures that still believe their walls are holy. It confronts comfort before the soul is ready to evolve. So prophecy in an unprepared place sounds like you're mad. You sound like madness, like you're going crazy. Not because the message is wrong, but because revelation without context looks like chaos. When you're sent to announce what no one prayed for yet, they don't call you prophetic, they call you possessed. Healing in a chaotic environment feels like threat because true healing exposes the source of the wound. And when people have built their identity around pain, your presence feels like danger. They don't want deliverance. They want distraction, and you have to be willing to let them live in it. So when you show up and you can feel they don't want you there, leave. They're not ready for you yet. Your presence feels like danger. And when the environment isn't yet tilled by divine timing, your revelation becomes a weapon that they will use against you. They will twist your truth into accusation. They quote your words out of alignment. They make your warning sound like war. They'll say you're divisive when all you did was discern what they denied. This is the pain of the early revealer, to be correct but condemned, to be on time with heaven but out of sync with earth, to carry divine instruction in a human environment that still worships its idols. Sometimes the cost of seeing early is being silenced by the blind. And sometimes the lesson isn't that you should have stayed quiet, but that timing is also part of the prophecy. Because what's holy in one season can look hostile in another. And what's misunderstood today will be memorialized tomorrow. You're not crazy, though. You were simply too clear too soon. And before God releases you to move, peace will precede permission. If your spirit feels agitated, if your chest tightens when you think about showing up, that's not fear, that's divine hesitation. God's timing doesn't come with anxiety. When the environment is prepared, your peace will return before your action. If you still have to force yourself to fit, the ground isn't ready. Stillness is the first signal that heaven has gone before you, and rest confirms readiness. Every environment has an ear. Some people are tuned to recognize you, others are tuned to reject you, no matter what you bring. So when you speak, listen deeper than words. Listen for response energy. Are they defensive or discerning? Do they question you or seek to understand you? If you find yourself constantly translating your truth, explaining your calling, or apologizing for your light, you're in an environment that hasn't yet developed spiritual language for you. A ready environment doesn't need you to shrink, it adjusts itself to your frequency. Not all resistance means no. Sometimes resistance means not yet. A closed door may not be rejection, it might be protection. If the resistance is external but your spirit stays peaceful, it's divine delay. If the resistance is internal and your peace disappears, it's misalignment. God will never send you into a battlefield you haven't been trained for. So if the opposition feels premature, Don't fight harder. Wait wiser. When you enter a place or relationship, pay attention to who you become there. Do you expand or shrink? Do you feel guarded or grounded? Do you sense flow or friction? Prepared environments bring clarity. Unprepared ones bring confusion. If the version of you that emerges in that space feels smaller, angrier, or constantly misunderstood, that space hasn't been purified for your purpose yet. When the timing is divine, you'll feel synchronicity. Doors will open, conversations align, confirmations come through random mouths. You won't need to manipulate outcomes. You'll simply walk into what's already been prepared. When you're sent to act in a ready place, even resistance becomes cooperation. The same people who doubted you begin to echo you. That's how you know heaven has gone before you. When what used to reject you begins to make room for you. The empath, the healer, and the truth teller are all moved by feeling. The divine maturity means learning that not every feeling equals instructions. Inspiration without authorization creates unnecessary warfare. So ask, am I being moved by compassion or by command? When God sends you, He covers you. When you send yourself, you're exposed. The right place and the right time, the right posture is divine alignment. Anything less is self sacrifice disguised as service. A ready environment will show fruit. You'll see growth and openness, humility, and hunger for truth. A toxic one will show patterns of denial, projection, and manipulation. Don't confuse familiarity with readiness. Just because you love a place or a person doesn't mean they can hold your purpose. Readiness looks like accountability and honesty and capacity because it's not comfort. Before you act, ask yourself, has the soil been broken? Have the hearts been softened? Have I been purified enough to carry this without resentment? Because sometimes the place is ready, but you're not. And other times you're ready, but the place isn't. Discernment is knowing the difference. And wisdom is waiting for both to be ready at the same time. When that alignment happens, your words won't wound, they'll water. Your presence won't provoke, it'll plant. And your obedience will unlock what your force never could. Thank you for visiting my channel. Stay, stay covered, stay conscious, and stay undefeated. And I will see you on the next one.